Hi everyone, welcome. I'm here today with Chris Tremlett, ex-Hampshire and Surrey and England international cricketer with 53 test wickets to his name, and also my business partner at Source Investments. And with us we've also got Monty Panesar, also ex-England international cricketer with over 800 wickets to your name, 193 of which were in an England shirt. So before I move on, I'll just note where we are today, which is in this amazing 15th floor penthouse apartment, which is part of Berkeley scheme Oval Village. We'll then get on to discussing a bit more about the site and site specifics, and the special link to Oval Cricket Ground, which we can see just out of this window here. But first, let's perhaps chat about you guys, a bit about your careers. So Chris, starting with you, you played 6 seasons at the Oval for Surrey. Are there any special moments that come to mind when you think about your career playing at the Oval?
I mean, there's too many to mention really, but I guess going back a long time, probably 25 years, I made one of my first games for Hampshire here against Surrey, which was in 2000. I think I was 18 at the time. So for the cricket fans out there, I was playing against the likes of Alex Stewart, Graham Thorpe, who are England legends, and then following that on to numerous games for Hampshire, playing at the Oval. My debut test series was against India in 2007. Me and Monty actually played in that series together, and the final test match of that series, which unfortunately England lost that series, was here at the Oval. So I've been lucky enough to experience a test match here at the Oval, which is always a very special atmosphere. And then also, like I said, having six seasons at Surrey, I was lucky enough to play numerous 2020 games on a Thursday night, a Friday night in front of a packed house here, which in my opinion is the best ground in the country to host a 2020 game. The atmosphere is always electric. I know you've come to one of the games before. Monty would have played a few games here before. And probably the most memorable game in a Surrey shirt for me wasn't my own individual performance. It was actually, I think, in 2015 when Kevin Peterson scored 355 not out off about 360 balls against Leicester at the time when he was just been released from his England contract. So it was a kind of controversial time in English cricket, but that was certainly one of the games I certainly remember playing at the Oval.
Fine. And Monty, can you remember, I mean, how many games have you played at the Oval? Not necessarily an exact number, but is it quite a few games at the Oval that you've played?
Yeah, look, I've played a few games at the Oval, played against India, South Africa, Pakistan as well. So I remember against India, it was a one-day international and I caught Gautam Gambhir at long off, and then I took the catch and obviously celebrated that. And Tendulkar played an amazing innings. I think he got about 90 odd or wherever it was 100. And it was breathtaking, honestly. Like we just
350 aside, was it that game?
Yeah, 350 aside, and he played an unbelievable innings, and we all just didn't want to get it. Honestly, we were walking through each other, and we just don't get him out because he was batting superbly well. And when you see him bat at his best, it's like just when you like see a sportsman at the peak of their powers, you kind of like think, wow, this is like the most complete batsman we've seen in our lifetime. And he was just unbelievable. The perfect placement, the way he just hit sixes and fours. It felt like we weren't there as fielders because the placement was just in such great precision. So we were very lucky, to see him play at his best, and it was at the Oval as well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So that was at the Oval. So that was actually a question I was going to ask you, because when your first test game, your first wicket was against Sachin Tendulkar. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was at Nagpur.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in 2006. And it was one of their moments where you kind of like, your relationship with a great superstar is always on the TV, because that's all it is. You watch them on TV, you're in awe of their talent, in awe of their, stardom, and it's like any other sportsman that, you see right now. Like you see if I saw Haaland or Cristiano Ronaldo or, someone like Tiger Woods, you just think like they're away, they're so far away that you never even get too close to a touching distance. And next thing you know, I'm on the same field as a great master, and I'm just thinking, just bowl good deliveries, that's all I've got to do. And then hopefully after the end of the game, he'll probably get 100 and you'll say, yeah, you tested me a little bit there. And that was it. And I thought, be on the same field as him, that's an achievement for me. But when I hit the pad and I appealed and off I went running like a bullet towards point, I couldn't believe it. It was one of my best moments of my life. I was so excited and I was so happy. And I remember a lot of the England teammates were saying at the time, Monty Mania has started back home, everyone's wearing fake beards and they all sort of, celebrating like you. It was like few players, even in the Premiership were celebrating like me, how I used to take a wicket. So that started caught on in other sports as well. So yeah, it was a great time.
So do you reckon that's probably, would that be your best career highlight, do you reckon, in terms of that being your first wicket?
Absolutely, can't get better than that. When you get the great man, out. I didn't even think I would get him out, and then I remember that the physio from the Indian dressing room came over. He goes, "Oh, do you want him to sign the ball?" And I was like, "Oh, of course, yes, please." And then I gave it to him, and it was like an orange at the time, no seam on it, and he signed it in a blue pen. He goes, "Once in a blue moon, mate, never again."
So he was a good sport about it. He wasn't irritated.
He was. Yeah, exactly. And that's the greatness about him. He's a very humble person off the field, and obviously, a supremely talented batsman. But then I got the opportunity, to play, against him at the Oval. But this time it wasn't obviously. I played Test cricket here as well, and I played ODI match as well, and that's when. When you think to yourself, how great is someone as a sports person? That's when we were like, wow, Tendulkar at its best was another level. I haven't come across another batsman like him.
Well, I think it's always very special when you, like I said, you have your boyhood idols, you play against them, then you're lucky enough to maybe get them out. It's a very surreal feeling. But as Monty said, when you're actually on the field with them and they're performing at their best, and you see them play their best of like what you were doing, watching them on TV when you were a kid, and now you're in the arena with them, it is almost a surreal moment. You almost want to be a spectator in the game, even though you're trying to get them out. When they are at their best, it is something to watch, and that's what you sort of remember as a kid growing up. That's what you want to be. So like I said, it's very special when you kind of know those moments and get your idols out. That's something that you'll always remember, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Tremlett said the right thing. You end up becoming a spectator. Because of just in awe of their talent and of how good they are. And I know, and then once he got out, then we started competing in the game. Right, yeah. That's what it was. I remember at the time we were all like, "Come on, guys, we've got to win a game here now." Yeah. We've seen him go off and play his best. And I think you get that in loads of sports. You get like Roger Federer doing it, or maybe Lewis Hamilton. Then you get the likes of Messi, Ronaldo. You get these great moments in sports where you just think you're in awe of their talent and you just want to see how great they are.
Yeah.
And then once the ball's off them, then you start competing against the others, don't you? So I think you put him in that bracket as well.
I was going to say, is there sort of a weird moment in sport where if you're playing against one of your idols and then you get him out, where you're a bit like, oh, that's a bit of a shame that he's now going off the field and you're not going to play the rest of the game with them? Is that a thing or not really? The competitive edge takes over and you don't care?
Well, it's like a dream come true, really, isn't it? It's like, for me, it was like, I never thought of it in my wildest dreams. I never thought I would be able to get Tendulkar out, right? That was just never on the agenda. And then when that happens, like I've been taught from a young age, just celebrate your moments, and off I went and started celebrating, and it was just crazy celebrations, Like we won the World Cup or something like that. I just couldn't stop celebrating. It was like the best moment of my life, and I just didn't want it to stop. So that's the reason you play sports. When you look at it now, when we're retired now, you kind of think that's what you want in your life, really. No one's going to remember the wickets or the runs or the wins. It's going to be them small moments, that you played sport for, and how you made the fans feel. How you make the fans feel, how you make the people who love the game, the biggest stakeholders are the fans, and if they just love your energy, they love how you played cricket, that's what they remember you by, and I hope they remembered me by, my celebrations.
And it's also what separates, the best. If you're a youngster coming into the team, whether it's for your county or for England, but mainly at the England level, if you're bowling against your idols, like say Tendulkar or Ricky Ponting, something like this, you're always going to feel very nervous, you're always going to feel very starstruck, and it is going to be a very surreal moment. And they know that you're going to be nervous, so they're going to do their best to take you down. So if you can overcome that and come out the other side of that and embrace those feelings, that's when you, like I said, go to the next level and become part of that level, really. Some people aren't able to do that. They might crumble in that situation, and they're the guys, unfortunately, that don't make the cut. But it's at that level at the start that you sort of don't let those sort of moments overcome you, and it's a strange feeling when you start to become a Test cricketer, or people start to recognise you because you've done a crazy celebration. It's like I said, Monty, it's always going to be surreal, isn't it? Because it's not something you're used to. It's something you always dream of being. But when you actually become that, it's always surreal, whoever you are. And you know, the greatest sportsmen deal with that the best. Sorry, and they sort of, I guess, have to embrace that ego a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because you hear about professional sportsmen as well as professional business people who've achieved a lot in whatever field they're working, and they talk about imposter syndrome. Is that a real thing that you've both experienced when you're playing? Well, particularly when you're playing against idols, but where you kind of feel like, am I good enough to be here? Or do you not have that? And that kind of goes away?
I think you get that in any walk of life, personally. And like I said, even if you are sort of at the top, and you know, batsmen, for example, will always say when they're in form, they make the best of your form, because you know that form's not always going to be there. So it's always making the most of that form when you feel good, or if you're a bowler, if you're in rhythm, make the most of that form, because it's like anything, it's not always going to be at the top. You're going to have peaks and troughs as well. But yeah, in terms of imposter syndrome, I think when you have those troughs on the other side, when you're not feeling quite as confident, and you haven't taken the wickets, or you might have a bit of an injury, and or the media are talking about you, saying you're not performing, that's when you go back to your hotel room, you know, in India or Australia, you're away from your family, away from home, and you might read a bit of bad media, and that's when you do feel like, am I good enough? Am I meant to be here? And any sportsman, whether you're Tendulkar or anyone, you always will have times where you have those feelings of, am I good enough? And I think that is relatable to imposter syndrome. But even now, I'm 43. I've been retired from cricket for coming up to 10 years, and it still feels like a very surreal life that I've led, and my life has moved on, and I'm working in property and things now. But it almost feels like a dream. Not that I feel like imposter syndrome, but it's so far gone now. When people sort of come up to me and say, "I remember you doing that," it's a strange feeling that you sort of get sometimes. Did I really do that sometimes? And I guess when you're so far out of the game now, we're 10 years sort of retired. I guess you're trying to find yourself in a different way. Yeah,
makes sense. Because you guys came up through the academy together, or where did you first play together?
Yeah, so we're the same age. I'm 43, Monty's probably 42, 43. So I think under 19s we probably first started playing, which would have been late 90s or early 2000. I think we had a tour to India actually in, I think it was 99, I think that was. So yeah, we've known each other a long time. Like I said, from that group of players, I think there was probably 2 or 3 of us that actually went on to go and play county cricket, and obviously me and Monty. Ian Bell was actually in that group. So out of that group of the under 19s team, there's only sort of a fraction that actually go on to play for England. And then we had the academy together in 2001 and 2002, and obviously me and Monty have played numerous games for England together, been on tours together. So we've known each other the best part of 25 years. So it's nice to be able to still be friends and sit here talking about old memories and share those great memories.
Yeah. Do you get seeing? I mean, we can see the cricket ground, Oval Cricket Ground, out the corner of the eye. Do you get a bit of nostalgia when you see it?
Absolutely, and especially I think I remember how it was 25 years ago. It looked very different. They've done so much to the ground. They've got the OCS stand there. Now they've got the huge new stand the other side, and obviously they've got this new site here now coming as well. You sort of walk into the ground and you just see how much it's evolved, and it's going to evolve even further. But yeah, it does take you back every time. I think as an ex-cricketer, as much as I've sort of come out the game and doing new things, whenever I walk into a cricket ground, it's hard not to think, oh, this is incredible. And if I'm watching from the stands and there's a T20 game, and I'm sat having a drink watching the players play, it's not that I really want to be out there, but I miss the feeling of standing out there in front of fans in such a great stadium like the Oval, with such a good atmosphere. They're the things you sort of miss. But but it's, like I said, the world is adapting, and then you see things what they're doing here with Berkeley, with this oval scheme. It's only going to add to the area, and especially from the ground when that gas holder site is finished, and as a player, when you're sort of looking out from the pavilion, looking to bowl the ball, looking to over to the right side over the scoreboard, you're going to have this fantastic site. So it's only going to add to what's already been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think chatting a little bit about what Berkeley are doing here, they've obviously transformed the area. We'll come on to this as well, but the Ashes was actually founded post Australia beating England at the Oval, right? That was the first time that Australia beat England on English soil?
I believe so. I think it was, the first ever Test match, I think, was back in 1882.
Something.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of history, and like I said, if you're lucky to be a player here and you go in the pavilion, like at Lord's, you walk through the pavilion, it's full of old paintings, full of old stats, memorabilia, and if you're a true cricket fan and you look back at that stuff, and it's pretty special, and obviously you see how far the game has come now in 2025 with the colours that the players are wearing, how far the ball goes. It's obviously a very different game to what it was nearly 150 years ago. But yeah, just shows how special somewhere like this is, and it's still holding strong, and it's adapting with modern times.
Yeah, I mean, I think people talk about the gas holders. There used to be 5 gas holders, and there's now 1 remaining, which is going to be phase 4 of this development, the gas holder. They're building just under, I think it's 199 apartments that are going to be going into the gas holder that will have views direct into the cricket ground. Obviously, Berkeley are preserving it. I mean, in fact, the gas holder is a listed building, so it's Grade 2 listed. And that is because it's literally been the backdrop of so many famous sporting events over the years at Oval Cricket Ground. But I think it was back in 2014 they gave it listed status. So Berkeley are going to be building the apartments in the structure of the gas holder, which is going to be really cool. Obviously, they have lots of different residence amenities, but it's also going to have a communal terrace, residents-only communal terrace. So people will be able to watch with direct views into the cricket ground, which is really exciting. And in fact, something that we're working together on at Source Investments. That phase hasn't been launched yet. So we're set in phase 1 of the development. Phase 2 is also complete. Phase 3 is the next complete, which we can just see out the window here. And then phase 4 is the gas holder that we are going to be taking to Mumbai in March, where we'll be putting on an event there. Which actually brings me on to another question I was going to ask you, Monty. What is the difference, or how does it feel playing in India versus playing in England, or if we use the Oval as an example? Is it a very big difference, or is it, you're on the pitch and your head's in the game and you don't notice a difference? How does it actually feel?
Yeah, look, I think it's a big difference in terms of the fan following, because I think when you go to India, you have to have security around you. You can't just, go out of the hotel. And when you're playing cricket in India, that it's just electrifying, atmosphere there. And then you kind of feel like, what is it like to be like a Premiership footballer really in India? Because that's the feeling really, and they're like worshipped over there, like that everyone's like a cricketing god in India, and you can see why some of the players then sometime over the summers, come here, some of those great sporting events and want to be part of it, because it's just people here probably they'll recognise you, but they'll kind of like respect your space as well.
Yeah.
But in India, they just want selfies, they want your autographs, they want to beat your time. And where the population is over 1 billion, so you can see why London is a real massive attraction for a lot of sports stars, especially some of the Indian cricketers as well, because it's their summer off and they can get an opportunity to come here. And obviously we've got 5 Test matches here, and we may have a great history, a cricketing moment at the Oval. It could be maybe Virat Kohli's last Test match, because the way he obviously hasn't performed in Australia, and I think Indian cricket will give him the time and the space to find his form. But just imagine, we talk about great moments of Kevin Peterson, when I think Swanee bowled great deliveries to win the Ashes here, and it could be that moment where Virat Kohli could play his last Test match. Alistair Cook scored his last 100 at the Oval. So how Twiggy said, Twiggy's the name I used to call him.
I was going to say, who's Twiggy? It's not Twiggy now.
Under 19 days, and Yeah, it could be that, you know. And actually, when we talk about under 19 days, I remember he used to hit the biggest sixes in India. And this guy was a monster. Like, when we talk about taking selfies, everybody was looking at him and they go, "Well, you're the tallest man in the world." And I used to kept on telling everyone that. He goes, he's in the Guinness Book of Records. When we used to play cricket together under 19s, everybody just stormed to him for selfies and, you know, and all of this. And he used to love it. Come on, don't lie. He used to love it. He used to love it being the big monster while everyone else, you know, wanted a selfie of him. So yeah, we were like,
Don't remember. I didn't think they had cameras back then, but
yeah, exactly.
People weren't doing selfies back then.
Yeah, that's true as well. But there was always a picture on the old little, you know, disposable cameras back then. But yeah. So yeah, it's great. It's great that, you know, we've got a friendship of over 25 years, and I'm doing something right that you're still talking to me. So, you know, something about me, obviously we connect. And so it was good to see, you know, when we played together as well, because I remember in Melbourne when we produced a match winning spell, and
no, you're just being nice.
And I was
Saw the camera.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I was 12th man running on the drinks, and it was every 5 minutes I was just running on because he kept on taking the wickets. And I was like, "Come on, Tremlett, keep going, mate." And that's what it's about. When we played under 19s, played academy together in Australia, and then we played national team together, you're actually really enjoying, you know, your own teammate's success and a friend as well. So you know, that's what ends up happening once you retire. It's the memories you have together. That's the kind of stuff that you remember.
Yeah, but I'll make a point. Just going back to the reference to the Oval. Like I said, Monty says you have a lot of people that sort of finish their careers here because, like I said, it is normally the end of the Test summer. So you have the likes of Alistair Cook, played his last Test match here. Many other great players have
Stuart Broad.
Yeah, many have done the same. They bow out here. Like I said, you could have the likes of Virat Kohli. I don't think he will, but you could have the likes of Virat Kohli bowing out here. But another thing I always remember about the Oval, you know, obviously it's changed so much over the years, but over this, to the right-hand side of the ground, you just used to have this sort of row of houses, which are still there now. Some of the players used to rent those houses, but if there was ever a famous Oval Test match or an Indian Test match, people would pay thousands of pounds to sit on the roofs of those houses, which are just down there now. And it's very famous for that. If you look at old footage, you'll just see, you know, hundreds of people just sat on the roofs, and wouldn't get that past health and safety these days. And also those those flats make a fortune for hospitality. I think they rent them out for Test matches. So the fact you're now going to, as you were saying, Ollie, you're putting nearly 200 flats inside the gas holder, looking over the ground with a roof terrace, that's just going to add to, as a player looking at that, it's going to be pretty special looking at the OCS stand with all the hospitality. You're going to have the gas holder with the roof terrace with, you know, probably rented out as hospitality as well to some degree. And cricket fans who want to live in London, close to the city, who have a view of a great cricket ground and some memorable sort of cricket matches to come. So it's all going to be pretty special. And you know, also we've got a lot of brochures and advertising around here right now, and you see some of the CGIs of what it's going to look like. It's all going to be mega impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to change that whole backdrop. Obviously, cricket fans watching games, whether they've been in the stands or watching it on TV, as much as you don't think you even probably notice it sometimes, the fact that that whole backdrop is going to change is going to have a very different feel. But like you say, where people were previously sat on roofs of houses surrounding and stuff, they're now going to be there on a terrace looking straight in. People will be looking out their apartments, which I think is going to add to the atmosphere. I think like the general view is what Berkeley are doing here is going to be great. And not just for the gas holder, but the surrounding area as a whole, where we're sat now, everything else that's going in.
And as you say, you look back 30 years, you know, I remember the gas holder, just the gas holder with nothing in it, with I think it was like a Foster's advertising sign on the gas holder. It used to be the Foster's Oval, which changed over the years, the sponsorships. But the fact Berkeley are keeping it in keeping, you know, it's a heritage building. You know, they're still keeping the gas holder there. They're not knocking it down and starting afresh. We're keeping the history of something there. But obviously just adapting it to 2025. Yes, there's you know, money to be made for developers, but you know, things move on. England's a small place, we need to build more houses, but it's a very special opportunity for people to buy something in London, so close to to Waterloo, Vauxhall, the Oval, but they get an opportunity to buy something so close to a famous cricket ground that's been there for 150 years. So it's a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah, I think on the investment side of sort of the conversation here with Oval, and why we're excited about it as a business, and we're chatting to our clients about it, and we're taking it out to India in March, is okay. It's absolutely great that it is the backdrop to Oval Cricket Ground, and I think for investors who are into their cricket, it's obviously a very exciting opportunity. But it's not just for cricket fans, right? Like, I think anyone that is interested in investing into London as a whole, I think this area offers a lot of opportunity, because we're zone 1 here. Actually, we're right on the border of zone 1 or 2, but actually this is just in zone 1. So the connectivity to the rest of London, tube lines is always one thing that you look at. We've come on the tube today. I came from South London up on the Northern Line. You've got Oval tube station now. You can come into Vauxhall. You've even got Kennington. You've essentially got 3 different tube stations. So the connectivity is very, very good. And then I think with Berkeley, what's always exciting about any of their developments is what they do with the surrounding area. They don't just come in and put one block there and that's it. They're building all around the amenities that are going in. If they can improve local travel connections, they do that. To be honest, here you don't need to do that, because you can walk into central London if you want to. But I think everything that's happened up the road that we can see out the back of the window here in Battersea and Nine Elms, that's been an investor hotspot for years. And there's still exciting opportunities here. But I think down the road, where investors do have an opportunity to get in at some pretty good price points, and where that's going to go over the next 5-10 years, I think that's what's really exciting about the opportunity. So, the investment itself and everything that's going on in the surrounding area, whilst having the backdrop of Oval, I think is exciting. I mean, Chris, I know when you played at Surrey, you lived up the road in Vauxhall, right?
I did, yeah. I lived at just next to Vauxhall Bridge, which again, like I said, it was I was close to the ground, so I could walk to the ground, which was great. Pretty easy to, fairly easy to get out. Obviously, you can have London traffic anywhere, but the tube at Vauxhall, I could be at Oxford Circus in 10 minutes. If I wanted to, get out into Surrey or out, I'm next to Vauxhall, so straight to Clapham. That's well connected. So as you say, that was a great place to live. And that was probably 15 years ago. Since then, they've really developed Nine Elms. As we know, that's really shot up over the last 10, 15 years. It's pretty amazing what they've done there. Battersea Power Station, the idea of that had just sort of had came in around that time when I was living there, and we can see today like how far that's come. That's got its own sort of tube stop now, and what they've done there with that development, sort of keeping it in keeping with everything. I think they've just done a fantastic job. And I said, I think the vision here I can see is pretty similar with rather than with the power station, you've got the gas holder. It's all in keeping with its surroundings. And as you said, Ollie, it's just a very well connected area. You're in zone 1. You can get into central London very easily. And this area and all the other areas around it, south of the river, they've all been up and coming for the last 10 years, and they're just going to continue to do so. So if you've got a long-term outlook on buying something in London, I don't think you can go too far wrong with buying in this area. Yeah.
I mean, do you think if this development was here when you were playing at Surrey, do you think you would have lived here, or do you think it's a bit too close to home?
I think I think when you're playing for Surrey, it's quite a unique team to play for. I've lived close to the ground, and that's very convenient. And I've also lived further out into Surrey. When I was living out in Surrey, it would take me an hour and a half sometimes to get into the ground. So certainly living close to the ground if I could. Obviously, it's a bit more expensive to live close to the ground, but in terms of convenience and how well located you are, living here would be amazing. Like I said, I lived at St George's Wharf, which was again only like a 5-10 minute walk. So at the time, that was great. But having the opportunity to live next to the ground in such a great facility, like I said, it's not just one block. It feels like it's becoming a real community here. Mm-hmm. That would be a pretty special place. Some cricketers might not want to do that. They might want to be not too close to home and look at a cricket ground every day. But in terms of convenience and where we're located, and as special this site is going to be, I don't think you'd not want to live there.
Monty, what about you? Would you live close to a cricket ground, or do you prefer to be a little bit further away, back to your playing days Do you want to kind of have that separation where you're not actually looking where you work, but you want to be a bit further away? What do you think?
Well, I think, look, I love cricket, and I think any opportunity, for any cricketer, even if you're a cricket fan, you want to be close to the ground because you get so many benefits. You get an opportunity, the view of the ground, you get an opportunity to watch the game, and also it's, like Test cricket in England is like the best, I think, spectacle, for fans all over the world, and it's a great opportunity, with the site that is being built right now. I think it's a brilliant opportunity for any overseas cricket fans who love their game, and especially, being in an English summer hot day, and they're seeing the cricket from their flat and overlooking the Oval. I think that's the best view in the house, and there'll be loads of people. I think once they find more about this opportunity, we're thinking, actually, I want to be part of this. I want to maybe, out of the 200 flats, get one of these. And what a great opportunity! Like Tremor said, it's a unique opportunity because it's once in a lifetime where you do get some great cricketing history moments happening. And if you're there overlooking the balcony, you could be there several years every year saying there was a great piece of history, and I was there, and you've got a beautiful flat to witness everything. So I think this is a brilliant opportunity.
Yeah, I think it is exactly that. It's you can't just invest anywhere in London and have something like this. It's a piece of history, exactly what we said, everything about the gas holder that's been iconic for so many years. It's getting transformed, but I think it's getting transformed in the right way. They are maintaining the structure, they're not changing anything about that, but they're putting the flats inside, and that is very, very unique. That's obviously just one phase of the development. There's other phases that still have, even where we are sat right now, I've mentioned, but even from this, which is actually in phase one, so the first phase to complete, you still get views into the ground, which again is actually quite unique about the development. It's not just one phase that has all the views. Actually, different apartments in different phases have those views in. But I think the exciting part is, yes, it's very, very exciting for cricket fans. There's the obvious connection, but I think it's an exciting opportunity in general because, yes, there's a cricket ground, but actually just the location and how central you are in London. And actually the other London landmarks, we look out this back window here, out the other way, you've got a view of the river, you've got all the Nine Elms, you look around the corner, you can even see London Bridge, London Eye, all of that stuff. So you kind of get a 360. Because outside of the apartments, there's the residence terrace in these boxes as well, where you get the full sort of 360 view around London. So I think it's really, really exciting, and it's already doing very well. A lot of the earlier phases have already sold out. Phase 3 is kind of what people are looking at now, which is going to be completing from 2026. And then the gas holder is phase 4, which is going to be like 2028. So there's still plenty of stuff to look at. We're by no means at the end of that, which is exciting. And that's exactly what we're working on with investors now. So Monty, are there any other specific memories that you have that have stuck in your mind over the years at the Oval?
Yeah, well, there was a couple actually. There was Steve Harmison when he was on 49. We played against South Africa, and he was batting really well. And he goes to me, Monty, just stay in there. I want to get my first maiden Test 50. And I got him run out. And he was on 49, and he absolutely just hated me for it. And even still, he reminds me about it. He goes, you denied me a Test 50 for England. And another moment was when we played against India, a test match here. And Anil Kumble got his first ever Test 100, and he batted really well. I think got 110 not out. I bowled about 40 odd overs, 2 for 159. I didn't bowl very well at all. I was bowling these darts, you know what I mean, and couldn't even get the ball to go up and down. So when you're out of form, I just wasn't in great form there. So yeah, they were my two sort of memories, and I think Tremor's played in that Test match with me as well. So his figures weren't too great either. So he got put in the bush.
Well, I think that Test match, I think it was my first Test series actually. I think India got
664.
I think they got 600. So
Jesus.
yeah, it was a very good wicket, very flat. I think MS Dhoni got 100 from memory. I think Sachin got
82.
82. There you go.
Still remember it.
Sato.
Kevin Peterson got 101.
Yeah, but it was always a very tough place to bowl here at the Oval. It was always more of a batter-friendly pitch. It sort of changed a little bit over over the years. But yeah, certainly that first sort of Test series against India was a tough one. We should have actually won the first Test match. It was it rained and saved India 9 down for the draw. But yeah, there's been so many special memories at the Oval, and especially as a fan. And 2005 as well, I was in the squad for the first 4 Test matches. I was unpicked for the squad in the last Test match here at the Oval. But as I was saying before, there's so many great endings to the summer, and the ones that people really remember are 2005. I guess Kevin Peterson stole the show on the last day, scoring 150, securing a draw against Australia against the mighty Shane Warne and Glenn McGrath, the famous team, in 2005. And then in 2009, Monty was involved in that series. Monty had a huge part to play at Cardiff, where he blocked out the draw with Jimmy Anderson.
Just kept on playing the wrong line. It was a Bakerloo and I was just playing somewhere else.
But yeah, Monty is still famous for that Test match and during that series in 2009, and also one of our clients, Jonathan Trott, who's invested with Source over the years. He actually made his debut in that game in 2009. He came into that Test match and scored a 100, second innings 100, I think it was, on debut, which was a key sort of innings that allowed England to win that Test match. And as Monty said, Graham Swan bowled the famous last delivery to win the game. I think it was Andrew Flintoff's last Test match or last Test series against Australia.
Ricky Ponting got him.
Ran out Ricky Ponting. Yeah. So again, just Ash's final games. I guess you remember at the Oval where England clinched 2005, clinched 2009. 2011 I didn't play, but I was in the squad. I think Monty was in the squad as well. England finally got one over India, and we got Test #1 status, beating India here in 2011. And again, there's a 5 Test match series coming up this summer against India. That is going to be a fantastic spectacle. The ground's going to be full, and again, I'm sure will be a great ending at the Oval here on that 5th Test.
I was going to say, you've obviously had both of you have had some amazing experiences here, some highs, but I imagine it works both ways. So if you're playing really well in the ground, it's probably an amazing place to play because the crowd's going crazy. How does it work the other way? If you're not playing so well, do you have any memories of games where you haven't actually played very well and it's been really tough?
I mean, obviously I played for Surrey for 6 years as well. Surrey, they have a very good membership, members base, so they get out of most cricket fans, you get probably the most people watching a county game. So you could get 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 people watching a county game on the weekend, and as I said, they're very sort of dedicated members. And if you're bowling well and taking wickets, the pavilion will be erupting for you getting wickets. If you're scoring runs, they'll be clapping you and celebrating. But on the other hand, if you're not playing so well, and I had a few years at Surrey where we weren't playing so well, and I'd be really stood on the boundary getting stick and getting sworn at from the members, saying pull your finger out. So like I said, it's not always positive. Again, if you go to India, if you go to Australia, and you are the visiting team, you're going to get shouted out some pretty nasty things, because that's I guess the job of your home crowd is to rile up the opposition. So it's great when you're in England playing for England and you've got your home fans. It's the same as a football game. If you're playing in front of your home fans, they're gonna be behind you. But when you're away from home, the opposite fans are going to be against you. And as Monty said, you go to India, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. And off the pitch, they want to be with you. They want to touch you. They want to have pictures with you. But when you're on the pitch, if you get a wicket, pure silence. But if they score a run or get a wicket, the ground will erupt. So they do a very good job of looking after their own fans. And as I said, both of us have both been on the back end of that of many times in our career.
And I think worth a mention, you're playing again in a...
we're both playing in that. So
you're playing in that as well?
Yeah, we're together. Yeah.
So that's in March, you're playing in India on the same team?
Yeah, we're back in India end of February, start of March, for I think it's IML Legends tournament. So again, we'll be playing against the legends that we played against 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. The likes of Sachin Tendulkar, Suresh Raina, Yuvraj Singh, some of the Indian greats. It's a pretty special opportunity to get invited to play in those things. It's not particularly good for our bodies to put ourselves back out there, but I think we both try and keep ourselves reasonably fit for guys that have been run out of the game for 10 years. But always incredibly blessed and exciting to go back to India. And I was saying this to Monty earlier in a coffee shop. It feels like another life where we played in front of tens of thousands of people, but it's nice to sort of step away from that and live a normal life, but it's also nice to step back into that for the odd game and just feel that atmosphere again, because obviously that was such a big part of our lives. We used to not have a 9-to-5 job. We used to get up and play cricket, which was fantastic, and play in front of a lot of people. So to have the opportunity to do that in front of Indian fans, we played in this tournament a few years ago, and we had 50,000 watching us playing against India. So as two old guys these days, having the chance to do that, hopefully again in front of some pretty big crowds is a pretty good, cool opportunity.
Just a bit nervous about the body, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried, since cricket I haven't had too many injuries, and unfortunately cricket did cause me a few injuries, so I'm a little bit nervous about bowling again and getting injured, but like I said, I try and look after myself as best as I can these days, so give myself the best chance. But as everyone knows, if you're a cricketer, you're going to have a few knocks along the way playing, especially being a fast bowler.
Yeah. Monty, how does your body fare these days when you get back out there and play? Do you normally feel all right? Or?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm in the gym. I get inspiration from Tremlett and trying to be this bodybuilder that I want to be. And
so, have to get on your fitness channel.
Exactly. I'm probably in world cricket. I've probably got the spinner who's got the biggest shoulders. So when I'm out there, you'll see this V physique with Monty at the back and number 17, and they'll think you should be the next Dwayne Johnson in a Hollywood movie. What was he doing on the cricket pitch? But
I want to see it.
Exactly.
So you're excited to get back out to India in March?
Yeah, very excited. I love it. I love the memories. Love being playing against some of the greats of the game. And it's a really honour to be invited. A league that's created by Sachin Tendulkar. It's the International Masters League, and great opportunity to be on the same field with him again. And you don't get these opportunities very often once we retire from the game. So whenever they come, we try and make the most of it. And I'm sure I'll be there at 45 cheering on Tremors when he bowls his bouncers and bowls his quick Yorkers.
We'll see.
Are you still back yourselves out on the field?
I think so. I think with a little bit of preparation. I think like going in completely cold, which we did a couple of years ago. It was during COVID, so we didn't have much time to sort of practice. So hopefully this time we have a little bit more time to prepare, get the body sort of adjusted to bowling again a little bit. It's always going to be a big shock to the system because we used to do that every day, whereas don't do it at all now. And our bodies are unfortunately a lot older, even though our minds might not be. But I think when you, like I said, you put 20, 30,000 people in a stadium and you're there, and guys are trying to hit you, or you're bowling at these guys, it's hard for you not to get those sort of juices going again, the competitive juices again. And it's not very nice if you're getting whacked around the ground and people are watching. So it's natural for you to want to sort of step it up a little bit if you're getting whacked. And it's also just it's prove to yourself, can you still do it? I suppose you're never going to be able to do it to that level just because your body won't allow you to. But it's also good to put yourself in that situation and see where you've got, because in another 10 years time we won't be able to do that at all in our 50s. So like I said, if you can keep yourself reasonably in shape, and I think these leagues are still, there's still a demand for these sort of leagues. A lot of fans want to see the older guys play. Can they still play? What do they look like these days? I guess it's intrigue from the fans, like can they still do it? And a lot of the guys still can. Kevin Peterson, he's our age, maybe a little bit older. He could probably still play in this day and age if he really put his mind to it. So some guys have still got it. So and that's what especially the Indian fans. That's what they want to see. So as I say, it's a great opportunity, and we want to go there hopefully with a bit more preparation than last time, and hopefully put on a good show.
It's exciting. So you're obviously going out for the sports side. You're going to be out there representing Source Investments as well with Berkeley Group, actually, when we come out to chat about the gas holder. So that's exciting to look forward to. You'll be in India for the whole time as well. Maybe you'll come along in March, potentially.
Yeah, I'll try and get a few buyers along. I said you want a flat in the Oval to witness maybe a great 100 by Virat Kohli, you know. Get yourself a 2-bedroom flat, mate.
There you go.
Well, thanks very much for coming along today. As we've mentioned a couple of times, we're going to be out in India, in Mumbai in March, where you guys are going to be playing cricket, but we're also going to be hosting an event with Berkeley Homes, where we will be there to specifically chat about Oval Village, notably the gas holder phase, which we've mentioned today, as well as the wider Berkeley portfolio. We'll be there putting on a presentation and an event, as well as one-on-one investor meetings in March.